Hello, everyone. I'm Cynthia Breunig. I'm President and CEO of the San Gorgonio Council.
I'm Claire Jefferson-Glipa, proud troop leader of Troop 77 and happy to be an employee of Girl Scouts of San Gorgonio Council.
A number of months ago, Claire, you approached me very casually. And actually, we were at another event, and you said, I'd really like to do something, and an event, ideally, that takes a look at minority leadership within the council. And I didn't know you at all. I had seen you as a leader, but I could see the fire in your eyes and your enthusiasm. Got to know you a bit better, and you put on an exquisite summit last September that now we hope to have as an annual event, and not just hope, but plan to have as an annual event. And I think that it began to move our work forward, not just as good words, but really holding us accountable in very specific ways. I was very proud to be able to hire you so that now you're part of the professional staff. And I wonder if you could talk a little bit about the summit, which was extraordinary, but just a beginning for us.
Absolutely. The summit was an amazing success. I think it superseded any dreams that I had, particularly for the board and other community leaders to have the opportunity to get together and really pull out the meat of the issue of what do we do to have girls of color involved in Girl Scouting, and what does Girl Scouts of San Gorgonio Council need to do to be more attractive to our girls of color. And then lastly, what do we do to support our leaders of color who will be that main conduit between our council and our girls. And as you know, an amazing group of community leaders and board members show up to really dive into that topic. And then our leaders were so gracious and honest with us about the things that we as a council need to do to continually support those leaders.
I was in the community leadership portion of the breakout. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. First, again, I'd like to say thank you so much for your honesty. Those of you who attended, we got great feedback and honest feedback from leaders. And mostly what they said is that they needed more support. Support from us as council through our ways that we communicate, support for our leaders through training, through providing more cultural awareness and sensitivity, both at the employee level, but also along the lines for all of our volunteers. And then making sure that we are accessible to those girls and leaders who may not have access to, the internet or technology. And so those are great things that we as a council can address. And with your wonderful leadership, we will address and move this conversation continually forward.
What is really on my mind is how those of us on staff, and now you've become part of staff as well as being a volunteer and troop leader, so you have both hats. How do those of us on the professional staff support the real work which is happening really where the rubber meets the road between an extraordinary leader, volunteer, and a girl? How do we support that work? How do we have the right information so that we're able strategically to move forward to support the extraordinary work of our volunteers? Do you have any insight into that? We're a little off topic, but that's one of my burning issues.
Yeah, no, I think it starts with, making sure that when an employee meets a volunteer, that they really understand that all the work that we do inside that, rectangular green building does nothing until a volunteer takes it and runs, and really understand that we truly are partners in building girls of courage, confidence, and character that make the world a better place. And I think if we first start with that at the forefront of our mind, when we pick up the phone, when we're in a meeting, when, we're up, late at night answering Facebook, responses, if that's at the forefront of our mind, I think that is one of the main things that can help us as council employees make sure that our volunteers receive the support that they need to do the amazing work that they do, And one moment that meant the most to me was when one of our Native American leaders spoke up and asked, what are we doing as a council to meet the needs of our Native American girls. And as an African American person, it's easy for me to just think about those Girl Scouts that look like me and come from a culture similar to mine. And it just reminded me of the work that we need to do, that Girl Scouting is for every girl, and that we as employees of Girl Scouting have a responsibility and obligation to open up the doors with wide open arms for every girl of every race, ethnic background, and creed. So that's what I took from this summit, and I'm so grateful that we will be continuing that amazing work.
So this was your original passion. You spoke to me and a number of people, and then suddenly we had this exquisite experience. I want to thank you for that, number one. Number two, what's on my mind, a real burning issue, is how we move this forward. The information that we got was very high quality. How can we be accountable? How can we move the council forward around the information that we've gained?
I think it's an excellent way to begin our year. September is the beginning of our Girl Scout year. Mm-hmm. And what a great way to kind of get a checkup. Everyone gets an annual physical. This will be our Girl Scout physical in terms of our cultural awareness and diversity.
I love that. And I love the accountability part, mm-hmm. because our hearts are all in the right place. But whether we're following with action, with budget, and with strategic planning. Now, all of this, as I mentioned, I was in the community leaders section of the breakout. There were 5 board members there, as well as some of our regional chairs, some of our top trainers. And it was an extremely rich and meaningful conversation in terms of outreach and in terms of really integrating the strategic planning around these initiatives so that we are moving it forward as priority objectives.
Right.
So that we can achieve this long term. It's not just the whims of this CEO or this staff member, mm-hmm. or even a small group of volunteers, but that as a council we were all unified in moving this agenda forward for the health and the well-being of our girls.
Absolutely.
Claire, thank you for that. I too was inspired and learned so much through the summit. Mostly what I came away with is wanting to ensure that it isn't just good words, that we're actually moving the council forward in a systemic, thoughtful way with lots of feedback to serve our leaders who, of course, are the ones that deliver the program for our girls. So, Claire, thank you so much, and I look forward to working with you for many years.
Thank you.
I just want to take a moment to thank the leaders. Everything is because of you and your dedication. Thank you so much.
Thank you.